Hey everybody, today we're going to shoot a very special video about how to use special mnemonic techniques to remember anything that you want to learn. You just have to connect it to your personal experiences, which is why I've brought Mina here today, because she's my girlfriend and we have a lot of experiences together. So welcome, Mina.
Hello.
So I'll explain a little bit about what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through a visualization, and I'll have you close your eyes, and we'll go through a bunch of things. But I'm going to ask 10 different questions as we're going through, just to get a sense of what type of thing could you attach a piece of knowledge to. So we'll go through that, and part of the way through, it's going to be things that we've experienced together to some degree. But then about halfway through, I'm going to switch to like a new idea that's all made up. So we'll see how that goes. So, all right, go ahead and close your eyes. And the first thing I would ask is just what naturally comes up for you? Like, what do you, if you place yourself somewhere in the world, like, I don't know, maybe your favorite place to be, where would that be?
I would say my apartment in Bristol, England.
Okay, so cool. So that's where you naturally end up. So, imagine yourself in that apartment, look around, get a sense of what it's like there, and, see if there's any smells, just to get you in the mnemonic mindset. And then
There is a smell, not particularly nice, but weirdly familiar. Our landlord had this bathrobe that he wore all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really think he ever washed it though.
Oh, geez.
And he would go on these long road trips in his van called the Blue Goddess.
Okay.
And just the bathrobe had a weight to it, I feel like, because it stank.
Ooh.
But it's like a weirdly special scent to us, I think.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Scents could totally be tied to memory really strongly, even if it's a, slightly unpleasant scent, it could still be quite nice.
It was brown in color, so it was the whole shebang. Yeah.
All right, gotcha. All right. Well, with that in mind, let's change the scene up. But the way I want you to imagine moving from scene to scene is I'd like you to imagine that there is suddenly a green circular portal that opens up in front of you, and you go ahead and walk through that portal. And now on the other side, you end up outside of the Berlin House Bar in Chengdu. And Johnny, our friend, is doing some stand-up comedy, and there's a lot of people hanging out. And then just to your left, you hear someone say, "Hi." And it turns out that it's Ferdinand the Bull who said hi to you. It's really just me, but don't worry about it.
I'm there.
So he's smiling at you, and he's also smelling a rose because he's Ferdinand. He just, is enjoying life. So the first question is, what thoughts and emotion arise for you seeing these images?
I would say comfort and kind of a sense of belonging.
Oh,
Really, that was a good time.
Excellent. So at that moment, as you're standing there, another portal opens, and both you and Ferdinand walk through the portal to end up on the second floor of Plate BBQ, where for some reason it's everyone's birthday in Chengdu at the same time. And so as you're there, you imagine the smell of the home plate slow cooker. But Ferdinand's also brought a big pile of chicken wings with him that he's made many times. So imagine yourself eating one of these wings. What type of tastes do you smell or taste there?
I taste most definitely Frank's hot sauce.
I knew it. I figured that would be the answer there. So yeah, Frank's Red Hot, the greatest sauce ever created. It's understandable that would be what you'd remember. So that's perfect. Flavors of Frank's Red Hot. So we've got comfort and flavors of Frank's. Perfect. All right, so continuing in home plate, just before you head to the next portal, you and Ferdinand share a kiss for the first time. And then moving forward, you go into another portal and you walk through it and you come out in Tiger Leaping Gorge. And you notice that there are two big rainbows forming in the middle of the gorge. And Ferdinand is very excited and he starts running forward towards the rainbows. So what comes up for you remembering your time in Tiger Leaping Gorge?
Just a sense of marvel, because it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. All right, so continuing with that, so marvel, that's a good emotion to feel. Okay, continuing with the scene, Nick, Mel, Ben, Sinead, and Andy Bennett are there chatting away. Now, Nick is holding his hiking stick, but he's chatting so animatedly with Mel and Andy that he accidentally flings his hiking stick right into the gorge. Now, imagine that you're watching the hiking stick fall into the gorge and it's heading towards the raging river below. But right before it hits the bottom, a tiger jumps out who looks suspiciously like our cat Morty. And he grabs the hiking stick in his mouth. And then, as he's falling down towards the river, another portal opens and he goes through it. And that brings you, Ferdinand, and Morty to the night that we brought Morty home for the first time. So, if you recall that night, Rick was in the corner, terrified, wailing, and saying she'll destroy us. And but we were hanging out with Morty. We're looking at this new little creature. It's all fluffy and with his big ears, and he just becomes the definition of cuteness to us. So tell me what you remember about the night that we brought home Morty for the first time.
I remember it was raining, so from the apartment that I got him from to the taxi, and from the taxi to your place, it was raining, and I was really worried that he would be really freaked out.
Mm.
And
yeah, I remember it was really windy too.
It was really windy
and
also.
raining. Yeah.
And it was a Morty day. It's just love.
Yeah.
And fear that Rick will hate me forever because he never really warmed up to me.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, Rick had a few months of struggle after that. Okay, all right. So continuing, the scene changes again. And now you and Ferdinand are sat in the living room of our current apartment, and it's Christmas Day. You have several coffee cups in front of you. And you're trying out the many different types of coffee that your brand new coffee maker can make. You have lattes, cappuccinos, Americanos, and you both look quite satisfied. And you can smell and taste the coffee. And then also, you're on the couch with the cats, and what we like to call CCPing. Now, does that mean Chinese Communist Party? No, that means Couch, Cats, and Philip for Ferdinand. So let me ask you this. How do you feel about CCPing?
I feel like it is the most calming way to end a day.
I agree. I feel exactly the same way. Awesome. So now you guys walk through another portal, and suddenly the scene changes again. It's your birthday, and you're at a hotel in Songpinggo. You walk downstairs from your hotel room and discover that Scott, Doris, Bridget, and Quentin and Ferdinand have made a table of rice that spells out "Happy Birthday, Mina." So let me ask you, were you surprised when you walked downstairs that day, and what else do you remember feeling?
I remember interrupting the group making it because I went down too early.
Oh.
So I ran back up.
Yeah, I forgot about that moment, yeah.
But it was such a great moment and such a good birthday morning. And I don't know, I just loved it. I remember you guys were trying to make a birthday breakfast from whatever was in the little Tibetan guest house. And it turned out to be just a great breakfast. And whoever made the porridge was just fabulous.
Delightful. All right. So we've got some good feelings there. Let's move on to the next scene. Now this scene, I want you to imagine that Scott, Ferdinand, and you are still there, but the entire scene sort of dissolves around you, and with the three of you remaining, and then suddenly you're in Scott's suit shop, and he's measuring you up for a new qipao dress, and you're trying it on for the first time. Look absolutely dazzling. And so let me ask you this. What comes up for you when you think about putting on that qipao for the first time?
I remember it looked better than anything I ever imagined.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Glorious, glorious. Yeah, I think you look fantastic in that dress. And so, okay, so then you look over and you see that Ferdinand is also wearing a suit. And so suddenly at that moment, you both snap your fingers, and in that moment, you're eating a scrumptious dinner at the Intercontinental Hotel with your lovely tailored clothes on, and you're enjoying yourselves. You're having a great time. You can smell all of the different foods, and you both have a glass of wine. And right as you go to cheers the glass of wine, on the clink of the glasses, you suddenly find yourself bundled up with oxygen tanks all around, looking at the beautiful Yading scenery. So the mountains are quite glorious, but you feel the altitude pretty strongly. So let me ask you this for the eighth question here. How would you describe the physical sensation of altitude sickness?
Like my brain is on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
It was the first time ever I felt my brain. It's a stinging feeling, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a surprising one because I just thought it would be a regular headache.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the getting the oxygen was quite a relief, but yeah, the headaches were super, super rough. So even sometimes negative feelings can be tied to certain memories if you do the right thing with it. So there's that altitude sickness. Okay, so continue with the visualization. Ferdinand sees the altitude sickness is getting to you a bit, so he opens up another portal. And suddenly you find yourself in an Airbnb apartment in Qingdao. Now, unfortunately, you're feeling a bit like a sad panda. A sanda, if you were, if you will. And there's a literal dark cloud forming above your head. Ferdinand wants you to feel better, so he goes over to the dark cloud and he starts rearranging it. And you're not sure what he's doing at first, but then you see that he's reshaped it into the shape of a heart. And it turns red and he hands it back to you. Now you feel a bit better, but then suddenly you're transported to John and Katie's house, where Teddy and Shay, their two kids, are playing Ninjago and doing Spinjitzu. And Shay comes over and says, will you play with me? And then you teach them how to do some sword fighting, fencing style, since you're a good fencer. So just maybe for the next question, just tell me a little bit about what it felt like to go to Qingdao, and were you happy that Ferdinand was there with you?
Oh yeah, I was so happy, and I can't believe that we made that move together for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It was definitely so comforting and so helpful, and I don't think I would have made it
Yeah.
without being super grumpy all the time.
Yeah. Well,
Not that I wasn't 80% of the time already, but still.
No, but we got through it together. It was a challenge, but we did it. And okay, so now that we've established several connections to real memories, I'm going to now switch to moving into a fictional visualization that will kind of bring this all together. Okay, so next thing you know, you're on an airplane with Ferdinand, and you're very nervous because you're moving to a new country. But as you're getting off the plane, Ferdinand says to the flight attendant, "Sir, where is the closest American diner?" Surprisingly, there's a diner right outside the exit of the plane. So you walk over to it and you go into the entrance. And it's a pretty classic looking diner. It's got a counter. It's got a bunch of booths you can smell, and booze. You've got the smell of coffee and bacon and eggs. And so you're feeling pretty good about this chance to have some classic American diner food. Now, as you walk further in, you notice that in the first booth, my mom, dad, sister, and her husband Dan are all sitting there, and they're waving green flags. And in the next booth, your mom, dad, sister, and Ross are sitting there, and they're also waving green flags. Then in the next booth, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin are all staring transfixed by something sitting in the middle of their table. And they have that look like when they're, Gollum or Frodo is staring at something. And, unsurprisingly, because they're hobbits, what they're staring at is a ring. Now, just then, a woman who looks a lot like you walks over. And she's wearing military attire, though. And she says to you, Hi, Mina. I'm your great aunt Milica. Same name as your sister. And she says, I've just come back from World War II battlefront to ask these hobbits and Ferdinand to help me with a project. She says, my life has been a battle to fight for those I love, and it's been a struggle. But I hope your life can be happy and peaceful. So I've asked these hobbits to take my ring and use it to forge a new ring that will represent a bright future for you. It's then that you see a montage of several elves forging a new ring. Ferdinand's overseeing the project, and he's very focused, and he's showing the hobbits and elves pictures of you and Ferdinand together, and telling them how he's dedicated his life to your happiness, and that he hopes he's worthy of you. They hand the new ring to Ferdinand, who opens another portal and throws the ring through it. Now, I'd like you to imagine that a portal opens in this room, and the ring flies through it, and I catch it, which leads me to my final question. If you'll open your eyes. Will you marry me?
Yes. Oh.
Let's try it on. This is modeled after your great aunt Milica's ring.
Oh.
And
I love you.
I love you too. Well, that was lovely.
Oh my god, it was the best.